Welcome back to our sequence on the engineering design cycle. This session focuses on establishing the relevance of the problem that we identified during the first stage of the design cycle. Now in the second stage of the design cycle, where we are researching the need for the design or product that we intend to design, an initial web search or other search for information regarding the need to solve a certain problem is or should be complete. Now, regardless of how well defined the problem already was for the design team, it's time to step back, look, and document a broad range of sources to establish the relevance of the problem to society. This is the point in the cycle where a firm and documented foundation for the value of proceeding with the design and eventual product is established. To formally establish relevance for a design or a product in engineering, we should ask ourselves at least 3 questions. That first question would be, are there other successful products already developed to solve the problem? Clearly, knowing if there's another successful product available on the market will affect our design choices and the decision whether or not to move forward in the engineering design cycle. This is a very important question. It can identify products that compete with our design. It may make our design irrelevant. It may raise the bar for our design, or it may reveal difficulties in the design's features that have not yet been overcome, and therefore opportunities to our own design efforts. In searching for other products, a number of resources can prove valuable. We might look at trade magazines such as IEEE Spectrum that often provide articles on particular problems and products that address certain categories of problems. We may also draw on company websites to search for competing products. Competing products in particular help us not only in establishing relevance, but can be used later to carefully define design specifications that will make our design relevant and potentially profitable rather than redundant. Market research also provides information on competing products, but more importantly, identifies potential markets for our designs. Here we show a brief article from a marketing research firm called Grandview that provides very valuable information on the potential commercialization of products and how valuable those products are expected to be at a global level, now and in the future. The problem with market research is that the actual report itself is often only available at a steep price tag of $1,000 or more. Fortunately, however, most reports come with a free summary that often provides data on market growth into the future, 5 to 10 years out, and other valuable summarizing information. In summary, whether we are working on only a small piece of a potential product or most of that product, our design must have relevance in the context of other products and markets. Understanding where our design sits among other technologies and efforts is a critical step in establishing the relevance of the design. In our quest to formally establish relevance for a design or a product in engineering, we may also ask ourselves, is there a critical need for this product to address the health and well-being of society? In addressing this question, some resources are particularly valuable to find credible information along these lines. First, looking at the introduction and background sections of scientific and peer-reviewed literature can provide a wealth of information. In the case of a literature review, especially, the entire article can provide insight as to how our design or intended product can support the health and well-being of society. While in many cases, the entire article may be too cumbersome or detailed to be useful at this stage, it is not necessary to grasp fully all these details, but to instead to capture the foundation for why the article was published and the context in which the material presented is relevant to society. We may also look at reliable government organizations for relevance. For example, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, provides exposure limits for many different chemicals, gases, and other toxic elements of air, soil, and water that can firmly ground our design goals and the goals of the federal government. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is another example of a government organization that can provide valuable information to support the need for a particular design or category of products. For example, here we can find information about fatalities among pedestrians that support the need for greater safety products on vehicles and pedestrians alike. Finally, non-government organizations can provide similar information to support how a design can contribute to products that enhance the well-being of society. In this example, Engineers Without Borders is an NGO that works relevant and vetted problems in developing countries, and in so doing establishes potential markets for products in these countries. While these three types of sources are not the only places to look for figuring out how a design or product in which that design will be a part serves society, they do provide a starting point for establishing this phase of relevance. Finally, in our search to establish relevance for design and product and engineering, we may also ask ourselves and our design team, is there compelling evidence for a profitable market for this product or design? Again, trade magazines, just by their nature, scope, and visibility of the problems they publish, provide valuable information about what is on the radar screen of both engineers and society. Company web pages and annual reports also supplement what we already know about how well certain classes of products relate to our design are doing in national and global markets. And last but not least, market research continues to provide valuable information on potential markets and profitability for our designs. Market research summaries often provide sufficient and credible information about not only what markets are doing now, but what they are projected to do in the next 5 to 10 years. As we wrap up this session on establishing relevance, it's important to remind ourselves that searches across Google, Google Scholar, electronic libraries, and similar search engines are often not that efficient at first. We may search by the wrong keywords. We may start in the wrong database. There is no winning magic recipe for doing efficient research. But answering the three questions that we've established in establishing the relevance is nevertheless important to proceeding with our design in a way that we are certain there is value, purpose, and potential profit to that design over the long haul. If anything goes wrong in the engineering design cycle that merits further time and iteration, it will be very important to remind our audience that we've done our homework and we have the importance and benefit of the design in the context of larger societal issues in hand. This concludes our introduction to establishing relevance during the Research the Need phase of the engineering design cycle. Thank you for joining us. We certainly hope that this session has been helpful in researching the need and that you'll join us again as we take a detailed look at other phases of the design cycle.